Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. This is the East First campaign series. We are getting ready to go into... What turn are we going into? April of 1943. And the weather was severe in the mild zone, poor in the cold, and poor in the warm. So, kind of garbagey weather. Kind of expected in the cold zone, but that's just the way it goes. We'll go ahead and just get started here. This is a relatively quick turn, so hopefully I won't take too long on my video. Don't ramble too much. I have no idea what we jumped over there. We're jumping around somewhere for some reason. So nobody declared war. We go into the economies. Britain's at 26. Germany is at 32. Russia's at 38 and did not give one to the... I started to give one to the Turks and said no, and he did give one to the Italians. So the Italians have 11. Germany has 31. British 26. Russians 38. Turks 2. And then we go into strategic warfare. I am plus... He is +1 because he has an airplane up here in Stavanger. Still. It's now got its 0 sorties, so he's got his airplanes going fairly well. And then I am at +3 because he has 9 conquered countries. And the Russians didn't have anything, and the Germans don't have anything. I don't have any partisans, he doesn't have any subs. So we roll to see what happens. He rolled a 5, +1 is a 6. I rolled a 5, +3 is an 8. If you go look, 6 to an 8 is a diamond. So the Germans recover their factory. Now we go over to the west. He's still a +1. I go up by 1 because I have 2 bombed markers and the U.S. is in the war. So I'm a total of +4. I thought about whether I wanted to throw the ultra marker here. And looking down the turn track, he has submarines coming next turn. And I thought I might need to use my partisans in France. So I'll have an ultra and a partisans available to use in May. And May and June, back to back. And he won't have he doesn't get another submarine until August. So I can counter one of his submarines and then maybe get ahead of him, depending on how the Russians do. So that's my strategic thought behind that. So I didn't play an ultra here. Figured I'm +4, it's probably worth it. He rolls a 4, +1 is a 5. I rolled a 1, +4 is a 5. So I didn't take him down a factory, so he's just like, okay, I stay, he'll be at full production next turn. Now we go to strategic movement, and he decided that he didn't have one. Now the West did. Go down here. I go down and I grab... What am I doing? Oh, this is him putting his strategic move marker away. I went down, took my strategic move marker off my card, put it on the 8th Army, and then I moved it over to Tripoli. Basically, I'm setting up for the invasion of Sicily. It's going to take me a couple turns because I really don't want to... I don't want to spend the production points to move these guys because I have so much sorties that I have to recover for my conquest of North Africa. And then the Soviets... What did I do? I did something crazy over here. Oh yeah, I went and I took the guy in Novorossiysk, and I sent him all the way up to whatever sea zone 33 is named, off the Baltic Sea there. I know it's got a name, but it's not on the map. So that's where I go. Gulf of Helsinki or whatever. To kind of back up those 2 guards units in case they go off running somewhere. And then we go into Axis operations. This is pretty straightforward. He does a 3-hex attack on the Shock Army. Then he declares another 3-hex attack down here. 2-hex attack there. I asked him about the Romanian. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot to do the Romanian. So he's got a 3-hex attack, a 2-hex attack, and a 3-hex attack. So now we go to, I think we're doing the northern one first. Yeah, we're doing the northern one first. So we do this. He does not commit, and I do. I thought for sure he'd just go ahead and throw the airplane in, but he chose not to. He ended up at +4 because he's 3 for the armor. Armor's 3, 2 for German, 1 for an armor, and 4. +2 buddies is 4 and 5. -1 for the weather. So he's +4, and I'm +1 because I'm elite, and +1 for an airplane. I think I threw this airplane in. So. And he rolled a 2, +4 is a 6. And I only rolled a 1. So that's a grand total of 3. A 6 to a 3 says, retreat. And he goes, thank you. Opened up my line again. So he's like, haha. He goes down to the next. I think he does the 7th Guards now. And we're in combat commitment again. And we both committed. We're going to throw in airplanes here. I did not throw tanks here. Because it ended up being, again, a net +4 to +2. You rolled a 4 +4 is an 8. It's like, wow. I only rolled a 3 again. Gee, that's 2 of those. Do you see a pattern here? 8 to a 3 actually flips me and forces me to retreat. He takes the hex. Then he goes down to the 13th here, down south, and says, okay, here we go. We went into combat commitment. Nobody, it wasn't real hard. He went ahead and threw his tank marker, and I took an Air Force and threw in a tanks as well. So I ended up, he's +3 for the armor, +1. This buddy thinks he's in armor, so he's +2. So that's 5, -1 is +4. And because I have an airplane and a tank, I get +2, so it's +4 to +2. And he rolls a 9. He's getting better. I rolled a 3 again. 3 threes in a row. How likely is that? So I am flipped and retreated. And he goes ahead and takes the hex because now his panzer is free, so he has maneuver again capability. And then I think he goes over to the west and says, it's time to kick the Canadians off the continent. So he moves up his armor and goes ahead and assaults. Because it's severe, I can't throw in an airplane. He can't throw in anything because he's not in range. But it's severe, so we can't really do anything. So I'm a 1, and he's basically 2 for a German and 1 for a buddy. So he's +3 to +1, and we're both halved. And you'll see us set the numbers there. He rolled a 6 +3, halved to 4.5, rounds up to a 5. So he's a net 5, and I rolled a 1. Half +1 is 2, halved to 1. So I'm retreated. And he goes, thank you. Now he can attack me with isolation depending on what the weather is next turn. So that's annoying, to say the least. And he moves up his airplane so that he's going to be within range to help himself next turn. And then down here, he decided that he needed to move this garrison into Catania, or whatever, however you pronounce that, with the Italians. And then I think he was done. Oh, he goes up here to do supply. He supplies his airplane, not his infantry unit. And he's done. On to Western Ops. Western Ops is just so fascinating this turn. I move the 8th Fleet and say, do you want to intercept? He goes, no. Do you want to intercept? No. Do you want to intercept? No. Going to go after me with 4 sorties against my 0 sorties. It's not going to happen even in poor weather. So he gets there, takes a sortie. Annoyed. Then I go out here and say, I thought he could intercept, but he can't because he doesn't actually own Brest yet. He needs Brest to be able to intercept into C-Zone 16. So I get the heck out of Dodge. And what I did is I went 1 into 16, 3 into the north, what's it called? I didn't actually put him there, but into the North Atlantic from 16, because that's what attaches there. So that's 4, and then 5, 6, 7 into the South Atlantic, and 8, 9, 10 into the Western Indian Ocean. So that gives me a sortie. And then I go 3 into the Arabian Sea, 4 into the Red Sea, 5, 6 down the Suez Canal, and end in Port Said. And that's because the Med Fleet convoy is probably going to have to go over and do invasion duty going into Sicily and stuff. So I had to... now I'm checking his airplane range for interception, and I go, oh look, my corridor's gotten even wider. It's 2 hexes now. So bomb marker comes down and goes into Metz. He decides to try and intercept. He is a net of -1, and he rolled before I could get there. So that 4 is actually supposed to be at -1, so he's a 3. Half down to 1.5 becomes a 2, so he can't stop me. I get a bombed in there, I said, I'm done. I'm not going to keep going. So, and then I decided I was going to take a chance, see if I could get lucky with us having our die rolls. I was hoping to be able to just run the second lift up with Fighter Command. So I just go after him. I'm at a 0, he's at a net +1, and we're halved. I rolled a 4, became a 2. He rolled a 4, he should have actually been a 5, which would have been a 3. He rolled the wrong die. So then we each took a sortie. I said, well, I'll go again at -1. I rolled a 1, so I've stayed at a 1. And he rolled a 6, halved to a 3, gave me 2 sorties. He took 1 sortie, and I said, okay, I guess I better stop. I don't want to go up to 6. So I stopped there. Then I did this. I went down to the first RAF in North Africa, outside of Tobruk there, a couple of hexes to the east of Tobruk. And I said, how far can I move? 10. Well, I get to the hex that I really wanted to get to with 1 move. 5430. The reason why I like to have an airplane there when I'm messing around in the Med is because from that hex, he can intercept both C-Zone 24 and 22. So if the Italians get feisty and try to move stuff around by sea in either of those sea zones, I have a chance to intercept with an aircraft. Besides fleets that might be able to reach, which none can right now at 22, but or I guess the Americans can in Benghazi. And so, hitting the wrong buttons. That is one thing I have added in case anybody didn't know. I can't remember if I told people. In the air ranges, there is also a move if you're in low supply or no supply and trying to see if your airplane can move away so that it won't die. You can click on this and it shows you the half distance range, which is 5 hexes. So I don't know if I told anybody about that, but I did add that. Okay, and I think yep, this is me taking sorties. I took 2 sorties on, or I took 3 sorties on Convoy 4, and one on Convoy 3, because he was at 3 sorties. Or is he at 4 sorties? What did I do? Or I took 1 on Convoy 1. Right, 1 at Convoy 1, 45, 45. So that's my 4 Brits. You'll see that I already marked the 2 garrison units at low supply, the guy in Tobruk and on the road outside of Benghazi. They're drawing out of Cairo, or Jerusalem, or wherever. I have a lot of places I can pull limited supply from for those guys. And then the Americans here, I use these Americans to supply these Americans. And I believe when I get to the replacements phase, I do not take my American replacements. I'm just thinking about that now. I don't think I took the American replacements. And then I was done. And now we're going to go off to the east. Basically, I'm going to do the attacks back on him that he did on me. I get this guy the heck out of the way, because he's just in the way. And then I move the shock army that was there. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. And then this guy's activate, and they each get assault. Then I go down here, and I do the same thing. I get this infantry unit the heck out of the way. This armored unit goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the guards unit above him goes in. Then I take this guards tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The reason why it's 7, 8, 9 is it's 2 to attack a unit in poor severe weather. And then 1 for the hex. Because it's fair. It's clear terrain. And then these 2 guys joined in. And those were my 3. Now, before I decided to resolve any of these, I said, we need to get rid of the German Air Force. So, I said, okay, I can go after both. I think I went after the 5th Luft first. Yeah, he's in at -4. I'm in at -3, so I need to roll a 6. I do not. So we each take 1, and then I said, I'm just going to run you up. So I had him take 2, and then this guy got run up by this airplane in Rostov. So that seemed to be the right way to do this. So then we did the attack down here. I threw tanks and my airplane. So I ended up at, this guy is 2, +2 for an armored is 3, 4, and then 5 -1. So I'm +4 to his +2, I believe. So I rolled, and I got a 2 + 4 is a 6, and he rolled a 1 + 2 is a 3, so he was retreated. So I took the hex back. And then we go up to the next one against the Africa Army. This guy's the primary. So he's 1 for elite and 1 for tank. So he's a 2. Three, 4, 5, and I threw in an airplane for 6 and then -1. So that's why I'm +5. So 4 + 5 is a 9. He rolled a 3 + 2 is a 5. So I retreated him, took the hex, because I'll just replace that guy. And then I went up to the north. This is the guards army is the primary. He's 1, and then he has 2 shocks. Is 3, 4. So that's a grand total of 5. Throw in an airplane from up here. So he is at 1843. So he is 6 -1 +5 to +2. Roll a 5 + 5 is a 10. You roll a 2 + 2 is a 4, which is enough to flip him and retreat him. And I take it with the shock army. And then I started thinking about what else can I do. I moved this guy in to be in the line. Then I got spent 5 more points to have the armored, the guards, and the infantry. Threw the tank on the infantry, so the guards is the primary. He's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 for the airplane that's right there, -1. So it should be +5 to +2 again. I rolled an 11, and he rolled a 3. So that's a DD, so he's flipped and retreated. And I take it with the guards army, put the tanks on the turn track, and then I was done. I have left 17 points, so I can reflip this guards unit down here for 2 and redress all my airplanes, which is the whole point. And so now we just kind of go through that. We get to Axis replacements. He just takes all of his airplanes, flips his 2 infantry units, and takes all of his airplanes because he had 17 left himself. So all his airplanes get to come down. I started to build the Italian. I said, wait, build the Italian later. So he goes down here and does which naval unit? This naval unit in Palermo, because it can actually threaten supply over to the east, or west rather, I should say, in North Africa. And Western replacements, I did my airplanes, 3, 6. Did these guys over here, 9, 12. And then the Med Fleet, so that was 16. And then I went back over here, and I think I had 10 left, so I went fighter, bomber, and I think I did this convoy down here too, which you can't see. Got him down to 2 sorties. So that was my 10, so that's 26. And then we go to the Soviet replacements. They're fairly simple. Flip over the guy and do my airplanes. And then I'm at 0. And then we go forward. No upgrades there. Upgrades for the Soviets. I do a couple upgrades here. The 62nd, I think, is going to be the one. 62nd goes away. The 8th Guards replaces him. And I took the guy that I had moved down behind the line near Bryansk as the 2nd Infantry unit. And then I went down here, and the magnificent 51st that held so well early on in the war became the 10th Guards Army, and I took the one that I had moved out of, the flipped over unit out of Rostov. He still counts as a 2nd Infantry unit. So, and then, and that's what I'm saying is, if you go look, my Americans, I forgot to take down my Americans. So that'll be fixed in the next video. I need to take that, and these guys all need to come down 2 each. I always forget to do the Americans because I don't have a national tracks to keep track of, so I'm always forgetting to do them. And now he's in the build phase, Axis mobilization. He builds his airplane, his Italian airplane there, and then builds his 2 infantry units. And in the West, in North America, we get an American convoy, yay! And there's nothing for the Soviets to build. They had a convoy, but they don't have the points to build it, so they're kind of stuck. And we go through diplomacy, and we're at end of turn, which is just us getting stuff onto the cards. So he gets submarines, tanks, and a ground support. I get 3 tanks for the Russians, partisans and free forces for the West. A Lend-Lease, yay! So that's going to make the British go up to 3 extra factories. So now they have 6 plus 8, 14. They'll be at 28 points next turn. They need every point they can get. They have so many sorties to try and correct. And then the Russians get more upgrades. A couple of guards, tanks, armies. And there we are. We're at May. So, as is our wont, at the end of the turn, we go ahead and set the weather. And he rolled a 5, 4, and a 5. If you look on May, 5 is poor, 4 is poor, and 5 is poor. So it's everywhere is poor weather. So a lousy May. And that's the end of the log file. So that's the end of our turn. So there you have April of 1944. Yeah, that was April of 1943. Sorry. April of 1943. Not a lot happened. The Germans took 3 hexes. I took them back and a 4th hex. He flipped a guy that cost 2. I flipped 2 guys that cost 1. And he pushed me back into Brest, which means he's probably going to be able to push me out. If not in May, then probably in June. And he'll push me off the continent. But that's okay. I've held on to Brest for several turns for strategic warfare purposes, which means I'm not losing factories. I'm not getting him, and I'm hoping that over the next couple turns, my Ultra and my Partisans will help me, take him down a couple of factories anyway. Anyway, that's it. If you like my video, as always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, please subscribe. Hit the like button so that YouTube algorithms use that to decide if people want to see this. If they're searching and more likes it has, the more likely it is to be up in the search list. So that's why I always ask you to hit the like button, because it helps YouTube tell other people about this place and these videos. Okay? We'll be back probably in about a week with another one. Until then, stay safe. Bye-bye.